Yeah, I can save Tangle Wire from dying, or pop back a Chalice to recast it against Storm combo. Like if I know that all their kill conditions come from casting cost 2, I can start it off at 1 to disrupt them, and then bounce it back and replay it for 2 or something like that.
Is Lodestone Golem just non-artifact spells?
It's a sphere. It's just a sphere.
It's an artifact sphere, so anything that is not an artifact costs 1 more.
So all of your spells except for Trinket Mage aren't affected by it?
Force
of Will?
Yes.
Sure.
So those are the only cards that are affected by Lodestone Golem in the main.
So tell me a little bit about the equipment package. You've got the 1 Sigil, the 2 Swords, and the 1 Jite. Why those numbers of those equipments?
Originally, the deck had Metalworker in it, and so the equipment package was actually 3 Sigils. But when I ended up cutting him from the deck, because I realized playing Metalworker, you tend to have to play cards that are bad without Metalworker, and he dies a lot. So I wanted to switch over to some artifact, some equipment that was good all the time, like Jite and Sword. I picked Sword because the deck has no draw and no removal, and it kind of helps smooth that out a little bit. And Jite because Jite is removal, and I didn't want more than 4 equipment spells in the deck, so it ended up just being 1 Jite.
Okay, and then the land base is pretty much a normal Stax land base.
Yeah, I took a pretty standard Stax land base and basically threw in the artifact. Yeah, the artifact land to feed Master of Ethereum and Esprezoa.
How good has Aether Vial been for you throughout the day? Seems like a pretty good card, but not a card that really the Stax deck, since they're not running too many creatures, are running.
No, Aether Vial has been good at doing what I wanted it to do, which is give me more turn 1 plays. Because as much as I'd like to, you don't have Tomb Chalice go every game. And sometimes Wasteland, Aether Vial, untap, Tomb, something else. It can help. You can use your mana to play your Disruption, some of your early stuff, and then sort of play catch-up mana-wise with Aether Vial. Eventually, I'm going to be fitting in a little bit of a better curve for it. I want to fit another 2-drop in there.
Sure. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your sideboard? You've got 1 Phyrexian Processor, 3 Pithing Needle, 4 Relic of Progenitus, 3 Hibernation, and 4 Propaganda.
Yes, that is the board. I only had 3 Hibernates, so that's where the processor came from. I would normally, or Hibernation, sorry.
Hibernation,
yeah. Yeah. I would play 4 of them, because that card is good.
What are bad matchups like?
Yeah, what wouldn't you want to face next round?
Next round, there are some, I guess, real Stax decks would be pretty bad for me. And I have some really swingy matches. Tempo Thresh is actually pretty swingy, because if I don't get the right disruption, their disruption's also relevant against me. And Zoo is also a very swingy matchup. If I get, obviously if I get Chalice, turn 1 Chalice, I'm in a very good position. But the real stopper there is Pride Mage, and basically how many Pride Mages do they draw? If they draw 1, I can recover a lot of the time. If they draw more than that, I'm in trouble.
I was gonna say, we have 1 round left. What decks would you actually want to play against?
What would I want to play against?
You can draw into top 8 most likely, right?
He's X2. He just lost. He
X2.
lost to Alex.
Sorry.
Combo, Storm combo. I have a very good matchup against them. A lot of the, I guess, maybe standard threshold. I'd really like to play a deck that focuses on getting Progenitus in play.
Sort of like Colossus deck, top deck.
Post board, Hibernation seems pretty good there.
I got your number. I know now.
Have you played against the Reanimator deck? Do you know what that matchup's like?
Actually, I haven't. This deck
Chalice
is...
for 1 seems pretty good versus that deck, actually.
Yeah,
it
Chalice...
Sounds like Alter Disruption, Reanimate, Entomb. It actually seems like insane versus them.
And then, post-board, I pull out Aether Vial, and I can bring in Relic. Relic seems pretty good. I'd probably also pull out the equipment, get a full set of Relic, and maybe Propaganda, as many as I could fit in.
What do you bring in processor inputs?
Right now, I've been bringing it in wherever Aether Vial has been bad. If it's a deck that is not disrupting my mana base at all, or that I don't... If I don't need to fear counters at all either, sometimes I'll pull out an Aether Vial for a processor.
So, like aggro decks?
Yeah.
Did you mention your matchup against the Zoo decks? Because those have been pretty popular today.
I'm actually 2-1 against Zoo. I've beaten 2 Zoo decks and lost to Alex Hatfield.
Master.
What are those matchups like?
Basically, those matchups, they come down to whether I stick a Chalice and whether they draw more than one Pride Mage. It's or if I get a Wasteland, sometimes I don't have to fear Pride Mage because they just can't get the correct colors to get them out.
Let's see if these guys have any other questions for you. But you're really excited about this deck. You think there's a chance, I think, that an X2 can make top 8. You think that you could take down this whole thing if you end up top 8ing, winning next round and top 8ing?
Oh, I don't know actually. I put this deck together and I liked it, and I thought it would be really fun to play, and it has been. I didn't think it would be good, but it has been. It has been really good. And I used to play Dragon Stompy. I've done pretty well with that deck, and just the inconsistency of that deck really drew me away from it. And this is not... It's slightly less disruptive, but it's a lot more consistent. I've had to throw back maybe 3 hands so far, and some of those I probably could have kept, but I wanted to see how the deck played with an aggressive mulligan.
One more time, what were your losses today besides that? Or what was your other loss besides that today?
My other loss was to Tempo Thresh.
The Canadian Threshold deck that doesn't have counterbalance for
Canadian Thresh.
And that matchup's a little bit rougher than normal counterbalance decks, right?
Yeah, that one just because, again, their disruption is relevant to me, so
yeah.
it's relatively swingy.
I think it also just nut dry with like Nimble Mongoose, Squafe, and then counter.
Yeah, that was it. It was I lost the first match, I believe, because he stuck that first turn Mongoose.
Yeah.
Whereas if he had played a cantrip, I probably would have beaten him because I had Chalice at 1 with Force backup.
With this deck, it's pretty actually hard to kill a Mongoose.
Yeah, it was just a matter of, and then he drew relevant disruption.
So you suggest this deck to people that are maybe playing in a small local Legacy tournament, or even the upcoming Star City Games 10K in Indianapolis, if they were looking for like a fun deck to play?
Yeah, if you're looking for a fun deck to play, it's been doing well for me. It smooths over some of the Stax inconsistencies too with Force of Will. There were times where I did win one match against Zoo, for instance, by going Chalice for 1 and then forcing his Pride Mage. And at that point, I won. I don't think I could have lost. It would have been very, very hard.
So one more question. This late in the tournament, if you could change any cards in the main deck, would you change any cards from this list?
Absolutely. Fairy Mechanist is bad. Do not play him. I thought he would smooth over the late game. He's just not good.
I think if you want like a drawing, I think Thirst for Knowledge would be insane in this deck.
Thirst for Knowledge, I tested it, but it doesn't have a body. So I don't want to go too creature light.
So
my recommendation, if I were to replace him with any creature right now, would be considering either Hypocrisite, who I need to test. I would not...
The 2/2, if he dies, suspend 4.
It's a 1/1.
Yeah.
If he dies, suspend 3 and
becomes back as a
becomes a
4/4.
4/4. Yeah.
Right. He's decent with Vile, and he's first turn